So in the last 10 days, I've spent 30k in personal development. First, I flew to Bahamas, then I flew to Miami, and then I flew to LA. I'm just going to tell you in this video a few key takeaways that I have taken away over the past 10 days, what I've gained from spending 30k on personal development, and ultimately, you're going to be able to take some value away from this video because of the amount of effort and time that I have spent over the last 10 days developing myself. So firstly, let's speak about Bahamas. Essentially, I spent 15k to fly to Bahamas to do an in-person seminar with Marcel Klein, and this seminar was all about, it was called the Unspoken Seminar. And this was all about how to read people's body language, how to read people and understand what they're saying without them saying anything. If you can understand what someone's trying to say or what someone is saying without them even knowing that you know that, it positions you in a much better position to not only read and understand them, but to also influence them, to know when people are lying, to know when one of your clients or maybe one of your employees or one of your family members, friends are lying to you. These are the kind of things that I was learning. And the biggest kind of takeaway that I've taken away from this is you cannot hide. Your body does not lie. Your body will tell anyone in the room that can notice it, whether you're lying, whether you're confident, whether you're not. And ultimately, one of the little stories that I can tell you from that was I actually get called up to the front by Marcel. And when I get called up to the front by Marcel, I actually noticed that I was triggered with a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of stress, because I get called out in front of everyone. This was emotional resonance from an experience I had in high school. But the cool thing is I was aware enough to notice that trigger and stop myself from acting unconsciously. But even when I got up there, I started to move about, I stood like this, and even things like this, even things like me doing this and closing up, that shows that I'm trying to comfort myself. So these are the kind of things that Marcel was pointing out as I was standing at the front. And it just really reinforced to me, if you can put yourself in a position where you can read and you can profile people to this level, you can not only, again, understand what they're saying without them even saying anything out their mouth, but you can position yourself not to be caught out. Not to be in a position where people can manipulate you. Not to be in a position where people can catch you out and put you in, essentially, a vulnerable place. Lie to you. Put you in a place where you're going to be caught out. This is the kind of things, or these are the kind of things that I teach my one-to-one clients. I teach my one-to-one clients how to profile people, how to notice when people might be lying to you, how to notice when people are showing things that they don't want you to see. And my clients, my one-to-one guys that I work with one-to-one, them understanding this, I'll give you an example of how this really worked for one of my clients, Daniel. Part of his team, one of the guys in his team, essentially one of the main guys that's fulfilling his clients and helping them run the business, he was acting in a certain way. And Daniel couldn't really understand why. And he couldn't really understand how to communicate with them to help him change his behavior. Well, ultimately, I had a conversation with Daniel when I went to Miami.
It's like I'm thinking, okay, if we continue like this, I'm literally going to be eating canned food after, type of thing.
But notice you're only feeling that because you're giving the meaning to that thing, that is now the outcome. It's always because of the meaning that you tied to it. It's never the thing itself. Because if the thing itself was an opportunity to learn, you feel good. But it's because that means things aren't going to work out. That's why you get anxiety. That's why you feel shit, right? But if you can be aware, this is why, like, even what I've just told you is life changing. Because if you feel negative, you're like, right, what meaning am I tying to that? Does it actually mean that? It was allowing me to understand what problems he was facing. And again, just from the knowledge and understanding that I gained from the Bahamas, I was able to understand who the person in his team was, profile his needs, what he needs, profile how Daniel can speak to him and communicate with him to influence his behavior, and also allow Daniel to understand exactly what his team member was telling him without actually telling him, based on his body language, based on the things that he would do when Daniel spoke to him. Daniel noticed this twitch that he had in his leg when he started to mention specific things. But the details that I was able to uncover for Daniel, knowing what I learned in the Bahamas, what did that allow Daniel to do? Well, it allowed him to speak to his team member in a way that would actually influence his behavior positively, and very, very quickly, his team member, the guy that was very important in his business, went from being a problem, adding resistance, to someone that was then assisting Daniel to the highest level. Was allowing Daniel to just completely flow with his business and move forward. So that is the value in what I'm learning. I'm not just learning this stuff so I can read the room, understand body language without anyone knowing, but it's so I can help my clients become masters of any room they walk into. Become masters of themselves, but not only themselves, the people in their business. If you can't influence and profile the people in your business, your employees, your team members, you're in a position where you're not necessarily in control. With the control that I'm gaining with the awareness that I'm getting, I'm giving that to my one-to-one clients. So that's a really cool thing that I was actually able to implement straight away when it came to the things that I learned in Bahamas. Another little thing that I learned in Bahamas was understanding people's needs. Okay, and we all have there's three needs that people tend to fall into. And it's a need for strength, a need for significance, and a need for approval. Well, ultimately, one of the conversations that I had literally on Monday, and the Bahamas seminar finished on Sunday, I was able to help my client understand how he was looking for approval in his life. Seeking it not by posture, not by saying you're the version of you that everyone is supposed to think that you are, but by actually being that version when no one's looking. The relationship with yourself needs to be strong. The discipline equals self-love. If you don't have discipline, there's no self-love. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to be confident. So you can't fake it till you make it. This needs to be built when no one's looking. And hopefully that's super clear by the end of this call, because I've said that about 5 times. But ultimately, I just want that to be drilled in. And I want that to allow you to reflect and audit, how do I behave when no one's looking? He was actually keeping problems alive in his life because when he was a child, he learned that having problems got him love. Having problems earned him attention. Ultimately, as a child, he used to have problems in school, with sports, these kind of things. And when he had an issue, he would go home, he would get comforted by his mum and his dad. But when he done something good and when he achieved things in his life, he didn't really get any real rewards. So what he learned was, as a child, I get more love from having problems in my life. What has this caused for him to do throughout his life as an adult? Well, it's caused him to focus on problems and keep problems alive because the people around him give him love and approval, that need for approval, when he has that problem. And ultimately, until he understood that, he was unconsciously in a pattern where he was controlled by this need. But the information I learned in Bahamas allowed me to profile him on the deepest level and give him awareness around that unconscious program that he learned as a child, where he could then consciously rewrite that program. He could then consciously detach from needing that approval and realize that that strategy that he had gained, that strategy that he had developed as a child, was no longer serving him. So there's another example of how Bahamas has completely leveled me up to help clients and profile them on a deeper level, but also allow them to profile their team members, their employees, their clients on a deeper level to maintain control. Well, then after the Bahamas, I flew to Miami. And in Miami, I was doing some in-person work with my client Bernard. Bernard is a business owner in South America, and ultimately his business was listed on Google's top 100 unicorn companies in South America. Ultimately, Bernard's got a huge business, but Bernard has been struggling to some degree with his self-image. There's been a part of him that hasn't really felt good enough, even though he's scaling this company to $1 billion, to charge what he's worth for other little side things that he wants to set up, consulting, coaching, these kind of things. Ultimately, I spent the week with Bernard, digging into these programs, digging into these core survival strategies that he has developed as a child. And again, it was very, very similar. His whole life has not been good enough. So he has then developed this belief about himself, I'm not good enough. And what this is called a self-fulfilling prophecy. A self-fulfilling prophecy is a belief that you hold about yourself that you will continue to prove right in your life. If you're not aware of it, you'll do this in your life. If you're not aware of it, you will use everything in your life to support this belief. So if you feel that you're not good enough, and that is a belief that you hold inside your mind, what your brain will do is it will generalize across your whole life. And it will look at every single piece of evidence and generalize across everything that you're not good enough. And then it will also delete. It will delete information to support that you're good enough. So everything that Bernard's done, all the achievements that he's had, his brain deleted those achievements, didn't look at those achievements to support the fact that he is good enough because he held that belief inside his mind. But this was happening unconsciously. He did not know that this was happening. He was not aware. He was just experiencing life in a way where he wasn't good enough. And he wasn't charged enough. He had resistance. What your brain will also do is it will distort reality. So it will look at evidence in your life and it will distort that evidence, even if it's good, in a way to show why you're not good enough, if this is a belief that you hold. And again, Bernard was doing this unconsciously because the belief that he held, the self-fulfilling prophecy, was held at a subconscious level, below his conscious awareness. Well, in Miami, I allowed Bernard to become aware of it. And then what I also done with him was hypnosis. And this hypnosis not only allowed him to remove emotional charge from memories that were holding him back and resonated with him in the present moment. So these memories he had as a child where he was told he wasn't good enough and it made him feel shit. Where he experienced this scenario in life where his parents did not celebrate him, that created these negative feelings of not being good enough. Well, not only did we remove the emotional charge from those memories, we rewrote those memories so he no longer emotionally resonated with not being good enough, but we also integrated the different parts of him that were holding him back. So Bernard had this one part of him that was holding him back and not taking the action, not feeling good enough, but then he had this other part of him that did feel good enough. Ultimately, using parts integration, which is another powerful tool in hypnosis, we integrated those parts, made them one with him, and has allowed him to completely start operating from a place of already having. Bernard has already taken action that he hasn't taken for months towards creating clarity and progressing forward with this new offer that he's got, just based on the work that we've done in Miami. Another thing that I've done in Miami was I met one of my clients, Daniel. And you'll see a link below for the testimonial that I've shot with Daniel. Ultimately, that testimonial, again with Daniel, allows you to see the shifts that we've been having.
The foundation was built before, but now I've got the Burj Khalifa on top of it. That's the best way to describe it. I would say my biggest issue before coming and working with you was how I used to attach my self-worth to predicted outcomes. My emotional state go upwards, downwards, it was literally oscillating consistently every single day. And because I was in these negative states and these positive states, I was maximizing my input every single day. When you're doing a hypnosis, so stepping into your authentic goals, the 2.0 identity, you just feel unlimited. Before working with Kyle, with the mindset I was exposed to, I thought the only way to have a very aligned day was through consistent meditation journey over an extended period amount of time. And because I've understood the layers, it's become so much easier to now observe throughout the day.
Daniel's a sales coach that is already making 60k a month when I met him. Right? Now he's pacing for 100k this month, a month after locking in, and he now sees in his mind $1 million a month in the next 12 months because of the work that we've done together. So you can click the link below to watch Daniel's testimonial and just get more of an insight into the work that I've already done with him, and especially the week that we've done together in Marbella. Unbelievable value, so fucking powerful. So next I went to LA. And what was I doing in LA? Well, after Miami, after the hypnosis, after Bahamas and the human profiling, I was actually in Miami and I hadn't planned to go to LA yet. And as you can see on the screen, Marcel actually FaceTimed me. Marcel FaceTimed me, we had a conversation, and can I say that he sold me? He did fucking sell me. I was already pretty much sold. But the event in LA was Marcel, for the last time ever, he charges 15k for you to go and learn from him one-to-one, learn all the sauce that he gives, all the techniques with hypnosis, every single thing that he uses with hypnosis, which people pay him £1 million for one-to-one for, I got to soak in and learn over 3 days in LA. Well, ultimately, Marcel gave me the call and I made the decision to go. Next thing you know, I'm in LA driving another Lamborghini Urus with my boy Marcus, as you can see on the screen right now. And over these 3 days, I learned that the sauce that Marcel uses with his one-to-one clients. Unbelievable power and value. Well, Kyle, if you're supposed to be good, and this is what people might say, if you're supposed to be good at what you do, why are you flying out to learn from other people? Well, Marcel's been doing hypnosis for 10 years. Marcel's been doing this for a decade. Marcel's also considered one of the top hypnotists in the world. Skill level, awareness, and the people that he's working with. Marcel's done work with Jake Paul. Some of the top people in the world, Marcel has as one-to-one clients. So me learning that from him over the 3 days, what that's allowing me to do is not only learn the tools that he has, but it also allowed me to reinforce the level that I'm working on with my clients. When we've done the therapy side of things, I'm already operating on that level with the clients that I'm working with. The level of therapy that we're already doing is at the highest fucking level. So it allowed me to really reaffirm that. But spending time in Bahamas with Marcel, and then spending another 3 full days with him one-to-one in person, doing the hypnotherapy course, the hypnosis certification, it also allowed me to really put on the lens of Marcel. Marcel is a guy that is, on a bad month, doing $1 million a month. So ultimately, the lens that I was able to put on is allowing me to just put the lens of the best in the world on, right? And what this is allowing me to do with my clients is operate on the highest level. What I do is I work with clients that seriously want to become unlimited. So me spending 30k on personal development in, say, the last 10 days, that's not an exaggeration, and that is not unnecessary. It's completely necessary, because the people that I want to work with, the people that I already do work with, they genuinely want the biggest transformation possible in the least amount of time. Well, these are the kind of investments that I need to make to get to that level. I can't be expecting to be one of the best in the world if I'm not already working with the best in the world. The cool thing is that I am. The cool thing is, I've been in person multiple times this year with Marcel. In fact, that was actually the 4th event I've been to. I've already been to Limitless at the start of the year, and we done Mental Millionaire, me and my brother Jack. We done Mental Millionaire in March. So that was the 4th time this year. I spent hours and hours and hours with Marcel. So the lens that I'm able to put on, the beliefs that I'm be able to adopt, the level that I'm now operating on is next fucking level. Has it came at a price of tens of thousands of pounds? Has this year I've already spent well over 30k with Marcel? Of course. But all these investments are very necessary for me to be the best in the world. In order for me to be the best, I need to be learning from the best and being in close proximity with the best in the world. And that's exactly what we're doing. And a lot of people think that hypnosis is a joke. I literally seen someone get turned into a fucking chicken. Not a joke. No way a joke. This actually happened. The cool thing is, obviously, a lot of people see the person getting turned into a chicken being the first interaction with Marcel. That's not the case. You don't just walk into a room and turn someone into a chicken. There's a lot of pre-work that's done in the back end of that before that actually happens. And ultimately, the person that got turned into a chicken had already been into trance with Marcel. He was a volunteer that got put into trance. And then once he was in trance, that's when Marcel can influence him a lot easier. But the cool thing for my clients is, the more you allow yourself to go into this state that we call trance, the quicker you can make changes in your life. Trance is a state where permanent change is made. Trance is that state where your identity can be updated. If you're not able to get into this state, you're pretty much stuck to what your identity really is right now. Ultimately, this state is where change happens. This state is where you can step into the identity without doing all this physical work. You can transform and completely update your identity internally. You can rewire your nervous system to align with the success that you already desire. This is the power of hypnosis, and the change can happen like this. I've personally had clients, one of my clients, Reese, for example, a very, very powerful example of hypnotherapy and how good it is at removing trauma. One of my clients had a really traumatic experience when he was younger. Within 10 minutes, he removed that trauma. This is not an exaggeration, it's just the power of hypnosis. Actually, one of the techniques that we use in hypnosis is mental and emotional release, MER. That's one of the cool techniques that you can use to just remove any real trauma that you've got. And as long as the client is able to get into that state, as long as they're working with a hypnotist that's good at what they do, pretty much any trauma that you go through can be released using hypnosis. So this is the kind of work that I was learning from Marcel, but also the kind of work that I already do. Working with Marcel is just allowing me to become more precise, increase the precision. And that, again, brings me to the present moment where I'm standing in London. I am using brainwave activity technology. I don't even know if that's a good way to frame it. But this is equipment that's not publicly accessible. This is equipment that can read your brainwaves and allow you to understand exactly what waves your brain is operating in. I'm going to be doing hypnosis with my twin brother Jack today, maybe even do some with Jude and Alex. And ultimately, whilst I'm doing the hypnosis with them, they're going to be wearing this equipment, and you're going to be able to actually see, I'm going to be able to actually see what waves their brain's getting into. This allows me to increase the precision of what I'm doing to the highest level. Imagine, instead of just looking at their pulse, instead of watching their physiology from an external point of view, I'm actually now able to see what waves their brain is giving off. Exactly the state that they're operating in. So think about the level that I'm able to get to right now with being able to see internally what their brain activity looks like whilst we're doing hypnosis. I'm doing all of this so I can become the best in the world. I'm doing all of this so that with my clients, I can help them change and pretty much instantly. Well, after one hypnosis session, my clients will remove, if not all the resistance, pretty much every single bit of resistance they've got because of the level that I'm now operating on, because of the time that I'm putting into my craft and the kind of people that I'm connected with and working with. Tan, one of the guys that we're connected with out here, he's the guy behind this. And ultimately, not only are we talking about brain activity equipment that can read your brainwave, can actually also read your biometrics, right? Read your physiology, understand how you can optimize your health. And me and Jack are going to be coming out with some AI tools that you guys can use at an affordable price that's going to help you completely fucking transform. Instead of you having to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds for one-to-one services, you're going to be able to have access essentially to us at a level that's going to change your fucking life at an affordable price. The vision that me and Jack have to change thousands of lives, we're putting the investment in. We're connecting with the right people. We're not just in a get money quick scheme. Okay, if me and Jack were in a get money quick scheme and that was our whole goal, we would not be doing this. This is not the best way and quickest way to make a lot of money. We have a purpose to change lives. Ultimately, is there a slower process to become billionaires when you're doing this? Yeah, there's a bit of a slower process and slower grind, but it's all worth it for the mission. We're purpose driven, we're driven to help people change their fucking lives, and if you watch the video to the end of this video, you deserve to book in a call with me and have a conversation. There's a link in the bio where you can book in a call, we can have a conversation to create clarity in your life, help you understand what the best way is to move forward, and ultimately give yourself the clarity to become unlimited. So click the link below, I appreciate your time and attention. Until the next video, have an amazing fucking day or night wherever you are.